The F1 Isn't Real podcast promises to buy ads on the Sphere in 2024. Hello and welcome back to F1 Isn't Real. I am your host, Ben Wevel, recently diagnosed with perpetual sleep paralysis following this week's GP, and today I will try and likely fail to properly analyse this utterly mad race under the lights in Las Vegas. So, without further ado, let's sift through the winners and the spinners of probably the most ludicrous event in recent F1 history. Wow, this was a strange weekend. And it looked like it was going to turn out that way from the moment the GP was announced in March of last year. Literally on the day of the announcement, residents of the Las Vegas Gardens sued F1 for noise complaints, claiming that the volume of the cars would exceed 97 decibels and thus be heard within a 2.5 mile radius. Firstly, no shit they're loud, they're F1 cars. And secondly, it's interesting, isn't it, that when the Champ Car series arrived to the streets of Sin City in 2007, there was no civil suit from the people of Las Vegas Gardens, despite the average volume of a Champs car regularly exceeding 96 decibels and the race occurring just minutes away from the Vegas Strip. Attendance at the 2007 Las Vegas Grand Prix? 40,000. Attendance at the 2023 Las Vegas Grand Prix? 315,000. I think the motivations of the Las Vegas residents was pretty clear-cut in this case. And one of the most disgusting aspects of this suit, in my opinion, was their enlightened decision to claim that F1 was promoting racial inequality, as the race occurred in 70% African American neighbourhoods. Even disregarding the grievous misuse of the term inequality, which, in my opinion, laughs in the face of true social injustice, surely bringing a Grand Prix, which was set to gross hundreds of millions of dollars, to an underprivileged area would economically boost it, providing job opportunities for those in such areas and pumping funding into the state of Nevada, which could be used to age such areas in the future. Jeez, stop me before I get too political. My bad. Okay, listen. That's all before the race. Who cares? The Las Vegas Grand Prix is happening and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Alright everybody, we're 8 minutes into the first free practice session in Nevada since 1982 and oh dear, track's falling to bits and the keyboard warriors have already branded the race a failure. Carlos Sainz may be the second unluckiest driver this season behind his teammate, my dear Charles Leclerc, with his Ferrari knocked out of action by a flying manhole cover in FP1. The suction created by the F175 was so great that the concrete surroundings of the drain flew up into the car, gutting it like a dilapidated fish. I mean, this really could have been a horrific accident. The average driver is only a barge board and a race seat away from the track, which is why the effect of the porpoising last year was so great on the backs of the racers. So if this had already been loosened by another car, Carlos would have been racing the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in a wheelchair. But there are layers and layers to this manhole mishap, as not only was the rest of FP1 cancelled to repair the racetrack, which cost Liberty Media $500 million to make, but F1 fans were also turned away from FP2 after waiting hours in the dark for the race to start. And it wasn't even over any safety precaution, it was merely that either the security couldn't be asked to stay an hour longer, or Liberty couldn't be asked to pay for them to stay an hour longer. Bear in mind, this race was predicted to make $1.3 billion, almost tripling the predicted expense of running the race in the first place, and they couldn't afford security for an extra hour. But on top of that, the wallets of these F1 fans must have been pleading for mercy from the F1 gods, with the cheapest tickets going for upwards of $1,000 and the most expensive tickets going for, I kid you not, $185,000. For that much, you could buy a Tesla Roadster and enter one of the support races yourself. And there's even more. F1 has not only taken a reputational hit with this one, but Liberty may be set to take yet another financial hit. And, oh yeah, we're back again, baby. Lawsuit time. 35,000 now partially bankrupted and severely pissed off F1 fans just weren't satisfied with their $200 voucher for the Las Vegas Grand Prix gift shop. And so they got their Better Call Saul on and started litigating. To be honest with you lot, I might never get to the racing. This was my favourite part of the weekend by far. Okay, let's get this done with. The final cherry on this turd sandwich was Carlos Sainz receiving a 10-place grid penalty for replacing parts of his car damaged by the loose manhole cover. That is absurd. In fact, it's the worst penalty in F1 since another Sainz mishap earlier this year, when he was given a 5-second penalty in Melbourne for a racing incident with Ferdinand Alonso, dropping him from 4th to 12th. Yeesh, I hate being a Ferrari fan. Okay, it's racing time, finally. And this is what I would like to call a race of opposites. Checo Perez, for example, started a dismal 11th, but he pitted early on in the race, lap 2 in fact, in response to the safety car brought out to clear Norris out of the way of the circuit after his horrific crash. And Checo would do a little rinse and repeat when Verstappen made contact with Russell whilst fighting back after his 5-second time penalty. This culminated in a strong podium finish for Checo, his first since Monza, only dampened by a monumental move from Leclerc in the closing stages, with my tenacious Monegasque going for the dive bomb on Checo at turn 14. Oh yeah, what a pass. So, even though things didn't go exactly how Checo might have wanted in this Street Grand Prix, this podium means that he's locked up P2 in the Drivers' Championship, which will be the best result of his career. But now let's look at the driver who started in P3, George Russell. It seems like whenever a podium is forecast for old Georgie boy, the weatherman was smoking some of that sweet grass, and it starts to rain problems. The real death blow for George was his contact with Verstappen mid-race. I respect the attempt, but if I have any tips for old Georgie Hustle, he needs to be more subtle with his destructive plays. This contact gave him some floor damage and also cost the Brit a 5-second time penalty, which dropped him from 5th to 8th, scuppering his chances of completing the trifecta of United States top 5 finishes. Another one of these opposing truths were the races of the two Alpine cars. I mean, it's a testament to how mad this weekend was that Gasly started in P4 but finished outside of the points, whilst his teammate Ocon started outside of the top 15 and ended up in 4th himself. It's just very strange, and honestly, I can't even say that I know how it all happened. I'm baffled. This race has defeated me. Alpine have been the weirdest little team as well this season. They're 153 points off 5th place Aston Martin and 92 points in the clear of Williams. It's just been a complete no-man's land of a season for Alpine, with the two Frenchmen separated by only 4 points at 11th and 12th. Truly the perfect placement for them this season. Before we jump into the driver of the day, I would like to pay some special notice to Max Verstappen. This man has won everything that there is to win this season, but he will never, I attest, never win my heart. This guy is just unbelievable. He wins my radio message award of the weekend with his snide remark of "send them my regards" in response to being handed a 5-second penalty. God, this guy's got cojones, and I hate it. Retire, Max. Just bloody retire at this point. And finally, my biggest, most polite, and richest driver of the weekend is Lance Stroll. Again, I simply don't understand. He started the race in P19. P19! And he managed 5th when all was said and done. In the second half of the season, Aston Martin. Unbelievable. Right, I'm off. to write a letter to the FIA pledging for the Las Vegas Grand Prix to be permanently disbanded because it's just too mad, and making me lose my journalistic integrity if in fact I possessed any in the first place. Tune in next time for the final race of the season. God damn it. I'm going to miss F1 so much. But sorrow is for next week. For now, we are satisfied.